there's a coup happening in Benin. So we decided to gather around some information. And what we are picking up is basically what you are sharing with you today on the breakdown. Leo, it's here, Leo. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
I like your sneakers, by the way.
Yeah, thank
I don't know whether you are part of the enforcement team.
No.
But there's lots of developments coming in from Benin. But before Leo comes in, there's a bit of a contact. This morning, there's a picture a friend sent me this morning on his way to work in Benin. Some are not able to go to it, but because of where he works, he had to go to work. He's a health practitioner, and he's on his way to work in Benin. Now, my next slide is about the military leaders or the alleged military guys who took over the national broadcast station in Benin to announce a coup. Now, Leo, you've been listening to them. You know a bit of French. You know Benin is a French-speaking country. They gained their independence on the 1st of August 1960. They've been a country that have seen peace. They have very interesting dynamics like Ghana. Yeah. For example, they had a long military ruler, Kerikou, who was in power for 19 years, came back as a military, as a democratic president to rule the country for 10 years, ruled the country for almost 30 years, just like we had Rawlins. They also gained their independence as one of the first countries in sub-Saharan Africa in 1960. They had peace since 1991. So what happened? What are the military guys saying?
Yeah, so after they seized the TV station, they mentioned two main things. One, they said the continuous degrading of security situation in northern Benin, because we know that the Al Qaeda affiliates who are causing trouble,
the jihadists,
have broken into their borders and are causing trouble. And they says the security situation is dwindling, and this is one of the reasons. And the second reason is the ignorance and neglect of their fallen comrades and abandonment of their families by this particular government, despite a lot of promises made in the media that they are going to help them.
So when you see the map of Africa, okay, my producer Joe failed to add it, but when you look at the map of Africa, the reason why you said that the first reason is the degrading of peace when it comes to the northern side of Benin. Now you notice that when you look at the African map, I don't know if Joe can get it fast quickly on the screen. When you notice the African map, you can clearly see that Benin borders Nigeria, right? It borders Niger, it borders Burkina Faso, and the countries that borders the country that borders Benin are mostly not peaceful. For example, when you go to Niger borders Mali. So it tells you that there's a bit of instability. And these guys feel that these jihadist movements are creeping in gradually into Benin due to the lax security system of the current president. That is Talon. That is Fabrice Talon. They believe that he's not doing enough to be able to curtail the advancement of the jihadist movement when it comes to Benin, especially at the northern side. So yes, so when you look at the map of Benin, Ghana borders Togo to the east, right?
Yes.
So the next country that Togo borders is Benin. So so Benin is like one country.
Togo, Nigeria, Niger, and Burkina Faso.
Yes, that borders Benin. And it tells you that when you have Burkina Faso, you know that almost half of the countries in extremist activities is also a country still led by a military dictator. When you go to Niger, that the story is no different. Nigeria also has its own issues when it comes to northern Nigeria. Tinubu had to cancel some international trips to be able to stay in town. There's been abductions and all that. So they feel that all these insecurities are coming to Benin and the president's not doing enough. Now, the second reason they gave was what?
The neglect of fallen comrades.
So the soldiers who are fighting these things and are dying and all that. But look, there's a third reason my analysts and friends tell me, but I will come back to that later. So this is President Fabrice Talon, a very nice one. He's a businessman. He has the same kind of flair like Yayi Boni. That's the one we all know, who also was a businessman, came into politics and won. He's done actually 10 years. He'll be 10 years in April 2026. You know that in Benin, they do 5-year terms, unlike Ghana. And there was a bit of an issue there. We'll come back to that. But ECOWAS, as you know, the regional body, has released a statement. But before they released the statement, last night, the president spoke in an address. And we are being told by the interior minister that he is in the country. He has not left the country. And he spoke to the people of Benin from Benin. Now, Leo, this is basically a snapshot of what he said in the statement. He said that the treachery will not go unpunished, that there's a rapid mobilization of forces loyal to the government that have allowed them to thwart these adventures. That is why when you go to certain tabloids like Al Jazeera, they are saying attempted coup. We've also seen the Nigeria Air Force trying to fly into Benin to be able to speak to some of these issues. Now, ECOWAS released a statement, the regional body, they've so far released two statements. The first statement is, if you can take us through.
It says the ECOWAS Commission has received with consternation reports of an attempted military takeover in the Benin Republic. ECOWAS strongly condemns this unconstitutional move that represents a subversion of the will of the people of Benin. ECOWAS calls for the full respect of the Constitution of Benin and salutes the efforts of the government and the Republic Army in bringing the situation under control. ECOWAS holds the leaders of the plot both individually and collectively responsible for any loss of life and property occasioned by their action. ECOWAS will support the government and the people in all forms necessary, including the deployment of the regional standby force to defend the constitution and the territorial integrity of Benin. And this was, written from Abuja on the 7th of December, 2025.
Yes. So what is interesting about this statement is that when they issued the first statement, just about 7 hours after, then they released the second statement. This is the second statement they released, and they title it Statement Number 2.
It says, further to its earlier statement on the Republic of Benin, the ECOWAS Commission hereby informs the general public that 1. Pursuant to the provisions of relevant ECOWAS instruments, in particular Article 25(e) of the 1999 Protocol relating to the mechanism for conflict prevention, management, resolution, and peacekeeping and security, and 2. After consultation among members of the Mediation and Security Council at the level of heads of state and government, A. The chair of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has ordered the deployment of elements of the ECOWAS standby force to the Republic of Benin with immediate effect. B. The regional force shall be made up of troops from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Republic of Sierra Leone, Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, and Republic of Ghana. The force shall support the government and the Republican Army of Benin to preserve constitutional order and the territorial integrity of the Republic of Benin.
And the current chair of ECOWAS, as you know, is the President of Sierra Leone, who has issued a strong word statement. And indeed, in the statement they released, they did say that they will deploy all forms necessary, including the deployment of the regional standby force. And as we speak, per my checks, those forces have entered Benin. They entered through the Nigerian border. That's what my sources tell me so far. And they are trying to, be able to thwart the activities. Now, Leo, the reason why I made you read the statement is that this statement the deployment came after the president did the public address and said that the situation is under control. So that tells you that maybe it wasn't really under control. The interior minister have also spoken. But Leo, our experts tell us that there's another reason that may be an undercurrent, but I don't think it's really effective because this president didn't qualify for this change. What was the change about?
It says Benin's parliament approves constitutional amendment extending terms and creating a senate. Like you said, the official term was 5 years. They've extended it to 7 years, but the two-term, is
window maintained.
Is maintained, but it's now from 5 years to 7 years, and it was approved on the 15th of November 2025. That was last month.
That was last
Saturday,
month.
yeah.
Some people believe that that's a bit of, you see, when we're in social studies, when they teach at the 1948, right, they talk about the immediate and remote causes. Yeah. Some believe that, yes, the remote causes are the security issues, economic issues. I mean, every African country has economic issues, but the immediate cause may be the tinkering of the cons. But per my checks, Fabrice Talon do not qualify to serve a second term of service because he's already won an election.
Candidate that they have chosen to replace him that will qualify for the 7 years.
Exactly, and they feel that because he was one that had a very firm grip over the country, opposition voices have been thwarted, and they believe that he will bring somebody who will serve his interests and keep that 7-year window. But it's alarming because we decided to go through the history and look at some number of coups we've witnessed on the continent from 2021. For example, when you go to Mali, there were 2 coups, August 2020 and May 2021. Colonel Goita, who took over. He's part of the key people that are trying to form the Sahel movement.
It started from 2021.
Yes, actually, 2021. No, August 2020, Mali. Then May 2020, there was another coup. So there was 2 coups within that window. Yeah. When you go to Chad, the president was killed, Idriss Deby, and all that in April 2021. When you go to Guinea, in September 2021, there were issues there. When you go to Sudan, 2021, there was also a coup. When you go to Burkina Faso, in January and in September 2022, there were also coups. You know, Kabori was ousted by Lieutenant Madiba. Then he was also taken away by the current military leader there, that is Traore, who is also the Niger. It's also under military rule, July 2023, when they ousted the president, Bazoum. You remember even we interviewed the Guinea people, the Guinea market from Panama, market people and all that. Gabon, August 2023, was also a coup, Ali Bongo.
Was it the one that the president was locked in a room asking people to come out and defend the country?
Yes. Then Madagascar, what is worrying that in the last quarter of 2025, we've seen Madagascar, the president had to flee and go to, that is Rajolina. He had to go to France. Guinea-Bissau, November 2025, and we are witnessing what is happening in Benin. I'm only hopeful that indeed the report you are receiving is cool, that the situation has been held under control. The 12 soldiers, the dozen of soldiers who did what they did will be arrested, and there will be some semblance of peace in the sub-region. Because let's not forget, when you look at the countries around Benin, the one that has the most peace and a bit of stability is Ghana, and to a large extent maybe Cote d'Ivoire. And we need to be careful. I don't know what you have to say about it.
All I'm saying is African leaders should take a cue from what is happening since 2021. And for coups to happen all the way even in Madagascar, it tells you a certain type of wind is blowing, that if they don't take care, the youth are going to take things into their own hands and things will spiral out of control. This should be a lesson for any leader in Africa, for them to rethink the way that they relate to the people and then act accordingly, or else
you never know. But we just pray that ECOWAS, through its military deployment, through the Republican Army of Benin, will be able to bring the situation under control, and we will not record any loss of life, especially for the vulnerable, women and young girls, and there will be refugee activities on our hand. This has been an episode of The Breakdown. My name is Eugene Osei-Tutu. I did this with Leo. On Wednesday, we come back on your radio with more exciting conversations and analysis. Thank you.